I dealt with problems with being $55,000 in debt at one point. I battled depression, I battled some serious health problems, and I had all these things going wrong, and I couldn't understand why. Why was my life such a struggle? I couldn't understand. And the one thing I was lacking was really a sense of direction and purpose in my life. I just didn't have it, and that's why I was doing all these things. So there was three things that over the years, three main important things that allowed me to overcome all of these problems and be here to be able to talk to you today, and I want to share what they are. So I'm going to share three things. One of them is your dreams, the other one is your expectations, and the other one is your story. So we talk about dreams. Dreams are really important. How many of you guys, just to show of hands real quick, how many of you guys know exactly what you're going to do in life? Graduate college, whatever, you know exactly what you're going to do. Perfect. So if you have your hands up, that's great, because it means you have a dream, you have a vision for yourself. If you don't have your hand up, it's okay. The important thing is to identify what your dream is. The dream is everything. What you dream is, or what you dream about, is your driving force in your life. It's your reason for doing whatever you're going to do in your life. So when you identify your dreams, even those of you that had your hands up, the next question is, once you identify your dream, how do you know when you've achieved it? What does it look like when you got there? What do you have? What are you doing? What are the things around you? What are the people around you saying? And the reason why I say this is because you really can't hit a target that you don't hang. You have to know what you're aiming for. And having the dream is the first part of it, but sometimes we have the idea of it, but it's just not clear enough. And the way our minds work is with specific details. So the more specific we can get, the more things that we know, the more likely it is that that target becomes clear and we can aim right at it. Now, who here thinks or knows why it's important, or why I'm talking about the importance of having dreams? Now, why is a dream important? Anybody? If you have a dream excites you, doesn't it? When it's something you really want. Think of a time in your life when there was something, and it could be something as little as maybe you just wanted an ice cream on a hot summer day. But anything that you wanted in your life at one point, think of that time, and I'll bet you got it. And it didn't matter what stood in your way, did it? You found a way to get around the obstacle and get it. And the reason why that dream is so important, because that's your driving force. That's your motivation. How motivated are you going to be to go after something in life that you're not really excited about, that you really don't care about? You know, I learned this a lot because I used to be a personal trainer, and I used to work with people who told me every single reason why they wanted to lose weight. But the first obstacle that came in their path, they gave up. Because it wasn't really the weight loss that they were after. There was something bigger there. They just didn't identify what it was. So our dreams are our driving force. They motivate us. They excite us. And whatever obstacles may come in your way, you are so much more likely to find a way to get around those obstacles. You'll overcome them. So identifying your dream is number one. The second thing is your expectations. Now, expectations are huge because you have to ask yourself, what do you expect of yourself? Now, expectations have to be achieved, or have to be set pretty high for you to achieve your dreams in your life. Our expectations, there's expectations that we place on ourselves, and there's expectations that are placed on us from other people as well. And expectations are huge. So when you think about your expectations, think about how you're showing up in life. Are you doing just enough, just what you expect of yourself, just what other people expect of yourself, or maybe a little bit less, just enough that it takes just to get by? Or are you challenging yourself and pushing your expectations higher, beyond what you think you can achieve, beyond what other people might think you're capable of? Because no matter the way you look at it, if people don't expect much of you, if you don't expect much of you, nobody else will. So the only way that you're going to change it is by raising your own expectations. As you learn how to do more, you're going to learn how to overcome challenges. You're going to start to build confidence in yourself. You start to believe in the power that you have to achieve what you want to achieve in your life. But you have to do it for you. Expectations are just based on beliefs, beliefs that we have about ourselves, beliefs that other people have about us. And this is huge because this leads into the next thing, which is your story. So we talk about stories. Everyone here has read a book at some time, right? Every book that's ever been written, well, it was written by somebody. It's a story. But we also live our lives according to stories, don't we? Stories that are based on beliefs that we have about ourselves, maybe that other people might have of us, based on things we think, thoughts that we have, feelings we have. Sometimes we base these stories that we have on maybe something that we failed at one time in our life. And no matter all the good things that we did, all the successes we have, we can take one little failure and attach ourselves to that label, failure, like a sticky note right there. And that's all we see. And then part of our story becomes how we're such a failure. Or maybe we get made fun of at school. Somebody doesn't like something about us. And we start with another label right here about how I'm not good enough. Nobody likes me. And we could go on and on. I had the story of being a failure. I had a story of being not good enough. I wasn't smart enough, I thought. Nobody liked me. I didn't fit in with the popular crowds at school. I wasn't the king of the prom. I wasn't the class president. I also didn't know where I wanted to go in life. I thought of myself as a loser. I thought of myself as an alcoholic, and I had every reason and every label attached to me. That became my story. And as much as I wanted to let that story go, I held on to it for dear life, because the thought of letting that story go might seem beneficial, but when you think about letting it go, then you start to struggle with who you really are. That's all I've ever known. And we hang on to these stories. And it's this vicious cycle. We attach ourselves to these stories, and we keep getting the results we don't want. And then we wonder why nothing changes and nothing gets better. So part of this is understanding that with stories, the cool thing about stories is that, like I said before, they've all been written by an author. Author takes pen to paper, or nowadays the computer, types it up, writes it up, and it's his or her story. And it's the same thing with you guys. You guys are the author of your own story. So what this means is that no matter where you're at, no matter what happened in the past does not have to dictate your future. It doesn't predict your future unless you allow it. All these mistakes of our past do not predict our future unless we allow it. And how you could do this is very simple. You are the author of your own story. So you can take whatever words you don't like, you can take whatever sentences you don't want, you can scribble them out, you can take the pages and rip them out, and you can rewrite it the way that you want it. Whatever parts you don't agree with, whatever parts maybe that you adopted based on some negative thoughts you had about yourself, maybe based on other people's beliefs about you that you just adopted as your own. If you ask yourself, why do I have that? Why do I think that? Where did it come from? Identify where it came from and then change it to what you want it to be. And as you change the story, you change the outcome. You start rewriting certain things. You believe differently about yourself because you think differently. When you believe differently and think differently, guess what happens? You start to act differently. And when you start to act differently, you start to get different results in your life. It's all thoughts, beliefs, actions, and results. So you take that story, rewrite it, and rewrite it, and keep doing it until it's exactly the way you want it to be. So those are our 3 things that will help you overcome any of the challenges, the adversities you might be going through. Dare to dream. Identify your dream. And also know what it looks like. Know how your life is going to be different when you have it. How do you know you'll achieve it? Secondly, raise your expectations, because nobody will do it for you. Raise those expectations, because your goals are way up here, and if your expectations are down here, it's too big of a gap to get what you want. But as you keep raising them and achieving them, raise them again, achieve them, raise them again and achieve them, and guess what? You'll have it before you know it. And change your story. You are not your story unless you allow yourself to be. write it the way you want it. The final thing that I want to say is just to understand that when those times get tough, it doesn't matter if you're having trouble in school, if you're facing peer pressure, you got stress, you're overwhelmed, whatever it is, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what you have, what you don't have. You're stronger than you think. And you're much more powerful than you can ever imagine. No matter what, just think one thing when those times get tough. Your current circumstances do not define you because your dreams have no boundaries. Don't ever, ever, ever give up on your dreams. Thank you.